What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. We're looking at the expert run that I made in the Ultra League in today's video, and it's a banger, dude. This team got taken off of Twitter. This was not my original team, but it's very strong, and I can highly recommend it. This team is going to be functioning around a safe swap Shadow Steelix, and you notice it doesn't have Thunder Fang. It has Dragon Tail. That is correct. This meta, I believe, is still very susceptible to the Dragon Tail Steelix safe swap, and it worked out really well for us in these sets. We've also got a Lickilicky Drifblim core playing with this team, and I'm not gonna lie, dude, this team has very few core breakers. There are some like Pangoro and some other kind of Pokemon like that, but for the most part, like, this team is super strong. You guys are gonna see in this video why Steelix works so well, and I did get this team, if I didn't already mention it, off of Twitter from Scafo99, so shout outs to them for the team. They did hit Legend with this team, so it definitely seems like the kind of team that we'd be able to hit Legend with. In this first game, we hit a really awkward lead, though, with that Shadow, or not the Shadow, with the Galarian Weezing, and because of the fact that they can get to Brutal Swing so quickly, I pivot to my Steelix instead, hoping that maybe they don't have Overheat. Opponent goes for the Brutal Swing here after going for some Overfarm, and I'm thinking hopefully they don't have it, and they're just staying in because maybe they don't want to swap out. So we're going to go for more Psychic Fangs and just continue to put pressure. The opponent going for another move here. I'm going to let this one go as well and pray that it's not the Overheat. Oh, dude, that was pain. That was actual pain. That was actual pain. But it is what it is, man. We keep pressing on. Drifblim's going to come in here and have to take 2 Brutal Swings because the opponent had so much energy outside. Just the pacing of Brutal Swing just makes Weezing so dangerous. But we are going to go ahead and get matched up now with a Pidgeot in the back, and I'm really wishing I had my Steelix right now. I'm not going to throw right away here. It's going to be 5 Astonishes on 15 turns into those 4-turn gusts. That's going to get you to that move right away. And then, or with good timing, I should say. And then we go for 1 and then the move, because that's also optimal timing. And by going for optimal timing here, we're actually able to get 2 Icy Winds when otherwise we wouldn't have been able to. Now, the opponent goes for either a Brave Bird here or a Feather Dance. The Feather Dance is fine. I don't need to shield anything, but they come in with a Dragon Breath Giratina, and now I'm really wishing I still had my Steelix. Now, I still think, in hindsight, I still think that I made the right play. Maybe safe swapping Licky is going to be a little bit easier here, and then perhaps closing with Steelix in some games you might find is a better play. But I feel like Steelix is a lot less accounted for right now, and because of that, it makes it a little bit easier for you to use it as a safe switch. So it's hard to do, because, you know, there's always that one where you're just like, man, I wish I had, and they make a really nice catch too, by the way. At this point, the game is absolutely over. I am not going to be able to come back from this whatsoever. Unfortunately, that catch on the Earthquake, I didn't think that they were actually going to go for an instant catch there, but opponent probably just knew that their win condition lied with their Pidgeot anyway, and just swapped into it just to absorb whatever energy, and then they could finish me off with the Tina. So either way, they're going to take this game. Well played to them, but we're not done yet. We're going to expert, boys and girls. Getting into the next game, Shadow Drifblim, trying to shake off that loss there, and we get a Steelix in this game. Now, I checked for the first move to see if it's Thunder Fang, and the opponent does have Thunder Fang in this case, so they're going to stay in, go for a Psychic Fangs, and dip out. I go to Licky here because Steelix is my harder answer, and Licky, I mean, Licky's still going to get hit with something. Like, Steelix still would have got hit with this too, but it's overall, it's fine. I just wanted to bring out their hard answer to Steelix, hopefully, which is typically going to be like a fighter, like a Primeape, Annihilape, or a Pangoro, or something of the sort. And in doing so, like, they have allowed me to basically go for 2 Earthquakes, which is really nice. I really wish, though, that the Earthquake was actually going to knock out, but I'm going to try for a Snipe, and we're successful in securing the Snipe and neutralizing all of the energy off of that Primeape. And I'm going to go for an Icy Wind here just to try and lessen the incoming damage from the Thunder Fangs in this case. This is not an ideal situation to be in, but Astonish on Shadow Drifblim, and I'm just going to say it, like, dude, Shadow Drifblim hits so hard, and so just, the damage it just piles onto opponents, dude, even when it's resisted, it's insane. I would definitely say that, like, Shadow Drifblim and Shadow Steelix here are definitely necessary, as sometimes it's like you can use one or the other, but in this case, I feel like the amount of damage and pressure that you get from the two as a Shadow is just so much better than running the regular. Opponent has their own Drifblim in the back, and we have a Crunch for them. I'm going to throw the Crunch here after we shake off the debuff from the Psychic Fangs. I didn't really have to make this catch. I just kind of figured if they're going to throw a move at any point, this is going to be when they're going to do it. But now I have to throw the Crunch before I get to the second Crunch because they only need 4 Astonishes to get to their next Icy Wind. So I'm going to go for the Crunch here and then just look to tank this damage or shield it. At this point, I may as well just shield it because the thing is that the opponent, just through that Psychic Fangs, they're never going to be able to get to an Earthquake against me, and I have 2 Crunches for the road. We just need 2 Crunches to get into the Steelix, and even at the even with the Icy Wind debuff here, I'm pretty confident that we're solid. We just go for 2 Crunches back to back. I don't think there's any situation in which these 2 Crunches don't actually knock this thing out. But their opponent, Steelix, does hang on. We are going to go for the second Crunch and take the game here. Well played to the opponent. This team, if they don't have 2 super strong answers in the back to your fighting lures, you're good, dude. Absolutely chilling, dude. This team, so this is another awkward lead. Malamar was really weird to deal with here, but because Steelix does resist the fast moves here, I'm going to go for it. I don't really have a preferred way to, like, I need really energy on Drifblim, and Gator is not the way to get it. Now, opponent does go for a very nice overfarm here on good timing. They shield the first move, though, which I thought was a little interesting. And they're going to be able to get to a second move here before I can get to my Psychic Things, which is really unfortunate because I was really hoping to be able to throw this move. But I'm going to go for the Crunch here. Most people would just expect me to go for Psychic Fangs. I'm going to go for this Crunch, and they do shield it, which does suck a bit. But we are able to get some really nice damage in with this, the Dragon Tails, and we're going to be able to come in with our Licky here. Even though they are going to hit us with probably 2 full-powered Hydro Cannons, we can easily tank 2 of them anyway from on our big fat boy Licky. Really good XL Licky is the way to go. I have one that's not quite so XL, and I can tell you from experience, this thing is stupid. Little derpy, little stupid little tongue hanging out, but the Earthquake is always good coverage here, and the Malamar is down a shield. If we can just get this Shadow Ball to connect and do enough damage, we are just in a good spot here, I think. So I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball pretty much right away here. Don't really want to give them a chance to get to another foul play. I know they had some energy when they swapped out. I don't think they're quite enough for a second foul play yet. But the Shadow Ball is almost enough, but the opponent's able to get to a move right at the end here, unfortunately. But that's okay, because if this knocks out, this will provide my Licky the chance to get to another Earthquake as long as the opponent doesn't get to a move, which they do. But it's an Acid Spray, and the opponent has effectively thrown the game. If they had just gone for one more and they would have gotten to that Scald, they would have been able to win the game. So opponent panicked through, and it did not do enough damage. That is hopefully a lesson learned for them. Good game. Because I definitely should have lost that game. Venusaur in the next game, we have a really nice lead here, so I'd like to try to preserve it. Opponent comes in with a Lickilicky, and I immediately respond with Steelix. I'm not really sure which is the better option here, to be completely honest. I don't really feel like I can come in with my Licky, because I give them so much energy, and all I do is hit them with an Icy Wind at the best case. But they have Solar Beam, which is certainly interesting. And fun fact, Solar Beam does about the same damage as Earthquake in this situation. So, Earthquake and Solar Beam, from my experience, have both just under, like, 45%, right? Like, so you can effectively tank 2 Earthquakes or 2 Solar Beams plus the rollouts just barely here, like this. So we live, but it's a simul KO, unfortunately. Now it's going to come down to what does the opponent bring in. I'm going to come in with my Drifblim here. I don't really know what choice they're going to opt to make here, but I'm going to go for an Icy Wind on my Drifblim because I do have some energy to do so. And then I'm going to pop in with my Lickilicky here. We're going to try to just go for as much damage as we can into this Venusaur and hopefully get the shields as well, because the opponent should probably expect that they want to finish this game with Guzzlord because they know that Venusaur is not the win condition here because it would be locked on otherwise to the Drifblim. So they let the Earthquake go, and that is a massive win for us, at least in this matchup. I can go for Body Slams now and force shields off of this instead of having to play the bait game of do I Body Slam or do I want to Earthquake here. Now, we can shield this next move as we have 2 shields. I do still value my Licky. My Drifblim is also still seriously healthy, so I should be able to tank a brutal swing if the opponent has it, or I'm just going to save the shield for the crunch. Either way, at this point, I'm just fine. Gonna try to go for a snipe, but unfortunately, I waited one move too late here, and the opponent is able to get a Frenzy Plant in, which now I'm not able to survive these, I'm not able to survive these moves here. But I'm going to shield this. I'm going to get their final shield with my Icy Wind, and I'm going to hope that Licky can get to a Body Slam here before the opponent's able to get to a move. Icy Wind does get their shield. A little bit of Astonish damage is going to matter here, and I'm just going to need to get to this Body Slam, but I'm not quite there. The opponent throws a charge move, but we're still in the yellow or in the orange. This crunch is not enough. An opponent is not going to be able to knock us out because of the Icy Wind debuff. Drifblim is doing its part here, trying to help us get this win together, and we're able to get there by the skin of our teeth. Good game to the opponent. So we get into this next game here with a Drifblim on Guzzlord. By the way, he's back. By goodness. I'm going to swap in Licky here because Steelix is a harder answer to this thing. And I'm going to go for the Body Slam right away here. And what that allows me to do is get some chip damage in here, which may not seem like much, but over the course of this game, especially if the opponent's willing to stay in and try and chip my Licky in order to get rid of it, this now has changed the switch clock around quite a lot. So depending on what the opponent decides to do here, that could tip things in our favor, especially if they're running something like Tentacruel in the back, which is very commonly paired with Guzzlord. We're going to be able to fire off an Earthquake here, and I'm not sure if the opponent is looking to just sacrifice their Guzzlord or what they're hoping to do here. But I'm going to come now in with Steelix, and we're going to go ahead and farm this Guzzlord down and see what the opponent is hiding in the back here. Opponent does have a Tentacruel in back, so it's hard to say, right? You would think that they would want to keep the Guzzlord on the Drifblim, but the opponent has their own Drifblim. That might be why they couldn't swap out. They were afraid of the Earthquake coverage. They couldn't bring Drifblim in to a Lickilicky, and it's just at this point, the game is very over. Unfortunately for them, I can always just shield here. I should be able to even get to another Icy Wind at this point before they can, if I want to, which I'm going to go for, but we're going to farm each other down here instead. I make a decision here instead to not throw the Icy Wind and just keep Tentacruel and Steelix in this matchup, and I know that I can always live a Scald. Now I'm going to shield the first one just for good measure here, and then go for the Psychic Fangs. At this point, it doesn't really matter when I shield. They're always going to throw the Scald, but I would rather throw the Scald now rather than throw the Scald or shield the Scald later when there's a chance that they might like do some shenanigans with an Acid Spray or something. Like, they're never going to go ahead and Scald me when I'm at full health. So opponent knows it's over here. Good game to them. Well played. And that's going to wrap up the first of the sets that I have in the video. I was going to put 3 sets in the video because I wanted to showcase more games, but it would have been like 45 minutes long, and I'm like, probably not going to want to subject people to that. But please go check out the streams that we played over the weekend with this team if you want to see them. We're going to get into the next set, which was the next day's worth of sets, because I basically went 4-1, 4-1, and then I was at 27-40, which was the set that you guys just saw. And then I went 2-3 at the final set, and then 2-3 in my first set the next day. And both of those 2-3s, I'm just going to say, I would never have seen any of those teams. Like somebody running Cobalion Machamp in the back, or somebody running Unova Stunfisk, right? Like stuff like this, like you just would never see it unless I'm playing a team like this. Anyway, my ranting aside. So we're going to do our best here. This is pretty bad, though. This Charmeleon and Ninetales is going to do a lot of work into this team. What I'm going to try to do is lower their defenses. I know that my Steelix still has value against the Licky because of those rollouts. As long as I save shields for it. I will shield, however, this one Weather Ball because I know that I should be able to farm this thing down before they can get to another one, which we can. This energy is still helpful, even though they bring in their Licky. It has taken quite a bit of chip damage, and most Lickies are on Body Slam Earthquake, so unless they have Shadow Ball, then, I mean, they can have it, but they are on the Body Slam. I will throw this Icy Wind right away to mitigate the rollout damage that's incoming. And then the opponent's going to come in with their Dragon Breath Giratina. So we are looking really good right now with Steelix. This is just Steelix, and Licky also does pretty well here. But when it's Dragon Breath Giratina, Licky's not nearly as good as when it's Shadow Claw. And I'm just going to say, dude, I haven't seen a single Shadow Claw Tina, and I've seen like 3 Dragon Breath Tinas. So I don't know if they're just coming back in full Shadow Force lately or what's going on with that. But dad jokes, let's go. Gonna be looking to get off another Earthquake at some point here. Even if I land that Earthquake on the Licky, I'm fine. But this opponent, I can kind of tell by the fact that they haven't thrown. They're just building up energy until they can clear that debuff, which is a really great move by the opponent here. And I make a really bad CM Pizza here, unfortunately. I didn't realize they were at a body slam already, so I'm going to actually undercharge this completely and just go for farm on Licky to get the farm down here. And then try to see if we can't get to the Earthquake against the Tina, but they're probably going to be forced to throw their energy out here. So what I do instead is I'm going to come in with my Drifblim, knowing that I can get at least one Astonish through. I'm hoping to finish this game between this Astonish and with Steelix's fast moves. So getting that one Astonish is why I shielded, because I wanted that damage, but the opponent's Dragon Claw doesn't even knock out. So we can definitely just come in with Steelix and go for the fast move down, and that's going to take that opponent's out. Good game. Next game, we got Golisopod on the lead. Definitely a bit of a core breaker as they have liquidation for the Steelix, but I'm going to pop in with Steelix anyway. They actually decide to go straight to a Hippowdon that they have in the back. Very spicy team from the opponent. Hippowdon is definitely a very fun pick in the Ultra League, but it is a little bit squishier than I would care to admit. So the opponent now goes for the Scorching Sands. I'm going to shield up once here. This might not knock out, but then they can farm me down if it does. And I think I even got the attack drop, which feels super bad, but we're going to be going for Psychic Fangs here. I'm going to look to try and see if I can't either force switch or get a shield off this opponent. They do shield, and I'm hoping that at the HP range that they're at, -2, that we're going to be able to get a farm down with Drifblim before they can get to a Weather Ball. So we're going to go ahead and get in with Drifblim. Don't know what that lag was about, but of course the opponent's able to get to a Weather Ball at the very last moment before going down. So Drifblim is now sad and is going to take half of its HP and damage. Then we're going to come in with Licky, and the opponent's got a freaking Donphan. And this is what I'm telling y'all. I would never see a team like this unless I was running a team as double E to it. I'm telling you. I would never see any... If I was running double flying, I would never see this team. I'm just saying. All right? I'm just saying. But this is an expert run. We win these. So now it's just about figure out how. So I'm going to go ahead and go for a body slam here and just try and see if I can get a shield off of this Donphan. At least if I can get the shield off the Donphan, we're in good shape. We do get the shield. I'm going to go try to get to the body slam, and I'm going to let it go. This is fine. This is very fine. Here's the reason why this is fine. I have a shield advantage, and even though those Shadow Claws are going to add up, we are going to be able to get to the Shadow Ball here with Drifblim. I just need to keep enough HP to get rid of the Donphan with those Mud Slaps coming in, and I'm pretty sure it's even in farm down range. If the Shadow Ball is enough, which it is, we're going to be able to get to the Icy Wind here, but not even need it because we just farmed down the Donphan. Good game, well played. Double Mud Slap. Get out of my swamp. Next game up, we got Steelix. We got a Drifblim on the lead. I'm gonna come in with my Steelix here and then look to try to go for a crunch, but they make a really, really nice catch. Really nice catch by the opponent here. Going to get the crunch, but at least we get the debuff, which is nice. Honestly, that resisted crunch probably does about as much as Psychic Fangs would have done. That's how pitiful the damage on Psychic Fangs is. But we can go for these Psychic Fangs here. Opponent's never going to shield, but this is really good farm for Drifblim. The downside here is that, of course, the Drifblim, however, has no energy, whereas theirs has a whole Icy Wind's worth of energy. So now I kind of have to come in with Drifblim, try to farm down, and the opponent had enough energy for another move, because of course they always do. And Drifblim is going to take a resisted Leaf Blade. That's fine. Now in comes the Drifblim, and at this point, though, the health disparity is enough where I can consider shielding in this matchup and potentially playing it out. But I'm just going to go ahead and get in. Just going to go ahead and get into my Licky here. Opponent has 2 shields, and I don't really know how I'm going to win this game, but we're going to try. We've effectively been just completely battered and beaten on every opportunity in this game. Opponent had the Virizion for our Steelix. They have the Primeape for our Licky. They go for the close combat, and now I need to farm down with Drifblim. Not only do we get denied a fast move, but they're going to go for the Rage Fist. And now I'm going to lose this. I'm done. This game went so badly from start to finish. We're just done. Good game. Nice alignment, trainer. That's what I like to say when that stuff happens. We're going to get a Shadow Feraligatr in the next game here. Kind of a core breaker. We're going to go into Licky this time because last time going into Steelix didn't work out so well. So Licky's going to be able to get to this body slam. I throw on poor timing here just to try and get the Gator out of here. You know, just because I'm trying to like change the switch timer so that it's a little bit off because the opponent was probably going to try to throw a move beforehand, but they just swapped out anyway. And then Licky gets stuck against a frickin' Zygarde. So wished I had safe swapped my Gator or my Steelix at this point, but that's fine because Zygarde hits like a wet noodle anyway. So we are going to be able to tank some damage, but they are running the Outrage set. The opponent, and this is why I like the fact that we had the opportunity to throw that charge move, because now Steelix can come in and get some energy. They are going to go for the bulldoze here, but opponent is just going to let themselves get farmed. They could probably switch by now, and I'm going to go for the crunch right before they would get to another move, just to make sure that if they want to keep this thing alive, they have to shield it, which they don't. And in comes the Gator. Now, the Gator does have energy. They left with 6. This is their 7th Shadow Claw, so I'm going to let this go. Hydro Cannon's going to hurt, but it's fine because we have a ton of energy on the Licky, and the Shadow Claws are doing basically nothing. So I'm going to hope that whatever's in the back is weak to Drifblim. Opponent is not going to get the shield onto the Earthquake, and we have Drapion in the back. Of course we have Drapion in the back. But never fear, this matchup is actually a lot better than it looks, especially when we have the ability to not let them swap back out, because they have no Pokemon left other than this Drapion. So 2 shields up. This is a really nice matchup for Drifblim because those Astonishes add up and the Icy Winds can never be undone. And the nice thing to know here is that the Crunch cannot KO after a second Icy Wind is applied. So I can always just go ahead and go for these Icy Winds. And I'm actually going to swap out at some point as well to try and clear the debuff off of my Drifblim so that it can definitely survive that Crunch. And then we just need to go ahead and get the damage in. Body Slam's going to get that final shield. Opponent is going to throw right before we get to the Body Slam. And I'm expecting at this point, one Astonish has got to do enough, right? One Astonish, surely. No. No, and they live with 1 HP. Bro, you've got to be kidding me. This is exactly the kind of thing that happens to me every time I'm trying to climb. But because we applied Icy Winds like Giga Chads, we win and take the win with the debuff crunches there. Good game. We win and take the win. Good sentence from me. Final game, and we are looking at a 3-1 set so far. Opponent goes into Galarian Moltres, and what I really should have done here was come in with my Steelix, because Steelix completely shuts down all of the energy from the Moltres. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and just play this out as it was. I already made my switch. I have the Gastrodon in the lead. I just need to maintain that alignment, and I'm okay with giving up a shield to do so, but I'm not going to do so yet. Because if they go for a Brave Bird, I don't think it's quite enough, but now this would be the Brave Bird if they're going to throw it. And even if it's Ancient Power, they're at a point where I can just go 1 Body Slam, 1 roll out in the Body Slam, 1 roll in the Body Slam, just continuously do so until they go down. So Licky's going to be throwing this Body Slam. We did lose a shield, but that's okay. Like, the thing is, it's like when you get something like Drifblim into Gastrodon, like that alignment is so important to keep that it doesn't matter if you have to burn 2 shields to do it, because you're basically completely shutting down one of their Pokemon, like completely. So now that I know that this is the case and the opponent's staying in with this Gastrodon to try and farm down, could have Water Pulse, doesn't really matter to me at this point. I just need to basically make sure that I'm able to play this endgame out. And they have a Zapdos in the back. So for us, we finally get one. The shoe-in easy win. We get the Zapdos in the back with the Steelix. And this is why. No, this is not why. Because if you just shut down a Zapdos with the Steelix, like, it feels good. But I've been on the other side of that so many times. You guys saw it at least twice in this video. I just got completely destroyed in some of these games. And the 2-3 sets that I didn't show, again, all of those losses, they were super close, but they were all hard counters. And I'm just like, if you guys want to see those, I'm not going to edit them out of everything. I'm just going to keep them out of this video just because I have to keep it within a reasonable viewing length, right? But if you guys want to see all the unfiltered sets and all that, go ahead and check out the stream. It's a lot of fun. Also, this team cooked really well. Can highly recommend it. Again, thank you, Scafo, for this team on Twitter. Just really incredibly talented battler as well. If you guys follow the Play Pokemon stuff, you've probably seen him a few times. So that's going to do it for me for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.